We're doing this now, huh? What's up, guys? Hello, Pencil here, and here to do a breakdown slash review. I was going to say live reaction, but that's a lot. But breakdown and review of chapter 168 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, which is known as The Twin Swordsman and Golly G. Willikers. NAKABA Suzuki, I knew you were sitting on something. I didn't think you were sitting on this, though, big. This is crazy. This is round one? This is our first battle. Yo, the rest of this if this tournament manages to live up, or any of the other battles live up to a fraction of the hype, terror, confusion, and also hype that flows through my veins in this very moment, this may just go down as one of my favorite tournament arcs in all history. But let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, do not let this fool you. Do not. You know, this is so crazy because I know NAKABA did this, named the chapter this, and did all this specifically to bamboozle people like me. People were thinking like, okay, so this is the cover page, you know, like we know Percy is gonna lose, whatever. Oh, look at him, he's being silly and goofy on the cover page. Oh, this title is called The Twin Swordsman. I'm gonna spend the whole chapter like explaining Gareth's ability, why he has a copy of himself, blah 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 blah. And then we're probably gonna cut to like the final part of the battle in the next chapter. Okay, so this is gonna be something later. NAKABA, you are a trickster. You are a beguiler. You are a deceiver. And I greatly appreciate that, bro. If you want to see the live reaction to this, you can check it over on Patreon. It's literally, I believe, a 20 or so minute live reaction where I may or may not freaking geek at a certain something. If you don't know what that certain something is, yeah, you do. It's probably in the intro. But with that being the case, let's not waste any more time. Let's actually hop right into chapter 168, The Twin Swordsman. So we open up and we do get to see that, yes, in fact, yes, indeed, two Gareths. What's this? Another Gareth has appeared? And yes, there are currently two Gareths walking on the battlefield. Now, pay attention to this. There are two Gareths, but there are two Gareths. Pay close attention. Just pay real close attention to this. Two Gareths. Two. And with that being the case, we see that Beltrip actually drops some lore. And some hefty lore. Some dualicious, doubly scrumdiddlyumptious lore. As he says, that is the lad's fearsome hidden power. The power that let him reach the final last time. So, it says two things. Number one, it confirms in a way that Camelot was not here last year. I don't know where he came from. I don't know what he is. He's probably going to be something completely minor. We'll never see him again. But I just found that interesting. Considering the fact that he doesn't recognize Gareth's magic, and he seems to genuinely not recognize it, and we'll see later on in this chapter, Beltrip literally has to explain it to him. Yeah, well then, you know, they go to snitch on themselves. For some reason, I don't know why they snitch on themselves. But ultimately, Camelot is new. He's new here. Now, this could imply that Beltrip always used to work alone. Or, it could imply that every single time Beltrip gets a new assistant, he waits, he gets bored of them, and then he places them in half. I don't know. Beltrip seems like that kind of guy. Especially with the chaos infusion, it's very likely he does not have any sort of regard for human life. Number two, this confirms that Gareth was the runner-up last year. Now, of course, we have no context for last year's competition, except for one man, and that's Ballin, but this once again doubles down on Ballin. Now, I'll admit, based on who he got to fight, Gareth really isn't all that impressive. In fact, I'd say he's kind of, we'll get to it bit by bit, piece by piece, but found those two details interesting. One, Gareth was the runner-up, meaning they are presumably pretty powerful. We don't know who else was here in Onflin last year, but still, pretty impressive feat. And two, he lost to Ballin, my glorious king. So, I can't wait for Ballin to fight. And three, the idea that Beltrip used to work alone or did have previous partners and Camelot is new. All those are three little tidbits that are discovered here on the first page. Also, I do like the clear difference in personality between these two. You can definitely see Gareth, or as we'll find out, Gareth, is much more playful, messy, a little bit devious. However, I will admit, there's going to be something that's revealed about Gareth, in fact, more than just his name, that is going to raise a couple questions, at least for me, especially for me, just based on how we know this universe works, or at least how I think we know this universe works. Once again, I don't know, we'll find out in a little bit, because we see these two, well, once again, Gareth being like, and Gareth being like, Once again, I feel like everybody's two moves throughout the day. You're either playfully mischievous or absolutely diabolical. But with that being the case, we see Percy say, oh, so that's why you can travel real fast, and why you didn't remember Adlin. But how does that work? And that is a very interesting question, Percy. And that does also, as he says, clarify how Edlin got, but not exactly, not entirely, not fully. Now, admittedly, the tangibility of Gareth is weird, as we'll go to find out. Like, it's very strange. Like, very strange. So, like, is he flying right now? Because he should be phasing through the floor. But with it being the case, well, actually, not necessarily, considering what we also find out later. Never mind. Take that critique back immediately. As we see the Donners being the Donners and hitting... I think he's legit talking about Beltreeb here, which is mad crazy. Which is so insane. It's like, I don't know about y'all, but even with Gawain's magic rings, one that we'll go to see featured heavily later on in the chapter, I would not even look at Beltreeb. Not till I have to... Like, I wouldn't even gaze at the man. Because, like, if y'all remember, not maybe 2 weeks ago in universe, Beltreeb nearly slaughtered them. And by them, I mean Donnie and Anne. Obviously, Gotha was there too, but Donnie and Anne. And our goat Sylvan, but Donnie and Anne. So the fact that the Donners hits him with the, hey, yo, ref, 2 against 1 ain't fair at all. You gotta disqualify Gareth now. And, admittedly, I get what the Donners does mean here, but, like, not really. Like, did you see how many hands Percy was throwing at Gareth? Quite literally? Is that, I mean, I guess technically it's just his magic, but as we'll find out, Gareth is Gareth's magic. So technically, it ain't cheating. As we see that Beltreeb hits the while everyone else is like, wait a minute, is that a guy with the pompadour low-key spitting right now? Wait a minute, hold on. Ain't this cheating? Ain't this a little bit unfair? Which once again is weird, because like, weren't all y'all here last year? Ain't y'all see the vision? Did things change? Once again, I don't know, the timeline of this, like, the reason I'm so focused on like the timeline and what we know before versus what we know now is because like, NAKABA went out of his way to set up a timeline and a previous year. And the fact that everyone here should have been here. Or at least a lot of them should have been. So, the fact that there's murmuring about this, even though Gareth was here last year, and wasn't just here last year, but made it to the final, a little bit funky, at least timeline-wise. But then again, you know, maybe they just forgot. It's been a whole year, and they have to literally fight for their lives, as we'll find out. But we see that Beltreeb, after hitting it's the, this is not illegal. At its core, it still remains a one-on-one. Which is true, as we'll find out. Because we see that Percy, completely not caring about the threat of Gareth, is like, huh? What the heck does he mean? I hope this doesn't make me bloodthirsty. I hope I don't have to take a life. But no, Percy would never do that. But would be the case, we see Gareth lunge in and get to swing. Oh, nope. As Percy, once again, catches their blade in between his hands quite casually. And we see that ultimately Percy is about to get stabbed and goes to kick through this copy, this other Gareth, who is known as Gareth. But we see that Percy's amazed to find, wait a minute, my kick, it went right through you? What is it? I was about to make a specific kind of joke. Typically, I can make the joke, but I don't think it would make sense in this context. You know, okay, let me do it. Gareth, I said I wanted to get up in your guts after I took you out of here and finished my business. But I didn't mean like that. Okay, see, it doesn't work because it's not Gareth. And he didn't say that to Gareth. He said it to Gareth. So, like, it don't work. It don't work. But would it be the case, Percy's foot faces right into Gareth. However, he does, in fact, need to block Gareth's sword. And we find Percy actually drawing his sword for once. Now, I say drawing his sword in a very, like, non-actual sense. He currently does not have a secret treasure. I wonder, once again, will any of them be produced before the end of this tournament? Because remember, they were in that chest that going today. When Dubby Boy finishes these, they'll pop up here. We have yet to see any of them, even though it's been an entire night. But then again, once again, Dubs is a giant who is very passionate about craftsmanship. He is a blacksmith by trade, and I highly doubt he could produce sacred treasure, sacred treasure tier weaponry overnight. So I wouldn't be shocked if none of them get their stuff by the end of the tournament, or just the finalist does. Presumably the finalist will be Percy. Presumably. It's either him. It's gotta be him. It's gotta be him. Like, I really don't see anyone else making it to the finals. But with it being the case, Percy does block with the Light Spirit Blade. And once again, that does like weirdly imply a sort of superiority between this copy, Gareth, and Gareth. As you'll notice that Percy pretty much never brings out at least this decently length sword against Gareth. And we see that Percy immediately acknowledges, hey, wait a minute. Something's weird with this sword. And we see that Gareth admits, you've got some good magic too, don't you? You blocked my blade yesterday, even. My blade should go through any weapon, no matter how well honed or magical. So, while admittedly this claim is just that, a claim, as we have no idea, that is actually a pretty powerful thing here. Now, how this would interact in universe is going to be very well explained soon enough, but crossverse is interesting. Does that mean that Gareth can kind of just through anything that isn't specifically based in the same type of energy that he himself and Percy's based in? Essentially, do you need soul interaction to block this blade? In any way, shape, or form? Presumably, especially considering Gareth himself and likely the blade isn't actually tangible. So, like, you may need like either counter intangibility of your own to possibly block the blade, and or properties and control over things like life and death, such as what the blade deals in, such as what Percy deals in, bada bing, bada boom. But overall, the potency of a blade like this, and overall Gareth himself, is actually pretty interesting. Though, as we'll see, he doesn't necessarily scale to this Percy, and by proxy, we don't know where he would really scale at all then. But, with that being the case, we see that Anne just randomly beating up Donnie for absolutely no reason. What did he do? He was just chilling there. He was vibing. He was having himself a good old time. We see she says, wait a sec, who the heck is this guy anyway? That's what I want to know. Oh, then again, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be click. I think that's Donnie. Hey, that's what I want to know. No need to beat me, Anne. I'm not into that. Please. But with it being the case, we see Beltriep has fully explained it to Capitoni, as he says, and there you have it. And Capitoni just decides to snitch? Like, broski. I mean, obviously we know Percy's gonna win, and we know that we as readers need to know Gareth's whole deal before he loses. But like, in universe, what the heck? Why are you just snitch? Because we see he hits a stunning development. The other Gareth, you see, is actually a ghost. Yes, it is Gareth, twin brother of Gareth, who died when both were very young. Questions? How is he aging? That's a question I've had from earlier. Like, this Jake, I don't know, how does he age? Because I thought, at least in the sevendeadlysins, in most universes, once you die, that's it. You don't age anymore. It's like, once you get to the capital of the dead, you don't age. As far as I knew. Like, I thought you just stayed stagnant for the most part. Because if you aged, even in death, what happens to your soul then? Like, we know you can be removed from the cycle of reincarnation, and you also can just, like, be erased from existence. Demons do that whenever they eat souls. Goddesses do that whenever they erase soul. Like, for some reason, the two strongest clans in the universe have not only soul interaction, but, like, soul erasure. For some reason. They're just monsters. Which is why I still ultimately do find... I mean, it's impressive in its own way. Meliodas' magical ability being erasure, it's like, it's cool, but you already have ways to do that. You have, like, a built-in way that your entire species down to the red demons can do. You can just eat their soul and then vaporize their body. You can do that, Mel. I mean, though, ultimately, the reason I think Mel's magic still stands unique is because it can erase people entirely across dimensions. Because remember, Demon King dies in the main world and also in Purgatory somehow. Even though that wasn't even the proper application of Mel's magic. In fact, I'm still not entirely sure what the proper manifestation of Mel's magic is. Sure, it destroys the curses, but like, okay, more destruction. We bait seen destruction. How the heck, like, he threw it at the... I still don't get that. I'm sorry, but I'm getting completely sidetracked. But ultimately, I don't know why Gareth is aging. Because he is still the same size, if not even, like, a little bit... Wait, do we get a side-by-side shot of them so far? I don't want to, like, scroll further into the chapter just yet. Not really. But I feel like last chapter we saw them side-by-side, and ultimately, Gareth, he's not, like, little boy. He's aged. And notably, Capitoni reveals that it was when he was very young that he ended up perishing. So how's he aging? I don't know. Maybe it's a side effect of conjuration. Maybe once a soul is restored back to the land of the living, then as a byproduct, they start to age again? And you're only timeless in the capital of the dead and or purgatory? And the reason I say you're timeless in purgatory, even though time does flow much faster there, is because there are just souls there that turn into those beasts that we see Bon and Meliodas turn into. And presumably those are human souls. So, like, clearly you can live... Well, if you're not timeless, you can live for a lot longer of a time in a much harsher environment than you typically would be able to. At least in purgatory. But, like, I don't know. Gareth aging is a little bit funky, a little bit weird, but I'll take it. It won't matter much longer anyway. However, another thing... Arthur, were you still working on the glitches, buddy? Why would you let somebody die? and Onfwin. Now you may be wondering, Pencilman, what the heck are you talking about? Why would he care? Remember, Camelot, it relies on wishing energy. Sure, is the entire structure at bare minimum multisolar? Absolutely, because we've seen multiple different star systems inside pocket realms. So naturally, it is. But remember, it functions and fueled and exists off wishing energy. Not wishing energy, I think that's the wrong term. But essentially, the beliefs and dreams of the people inside it, the desires, is what it lives off of, what it feeds off of. Camelot, especially. And Onfwin is essentially a sort of desire mill, where ultimately Beltriep, ruling over this horrid land, gets to keep people there over and over and over and over again, so they keep desiring to escape and escape and escape and escape. And of course, that desire just simply feeds the trap. It's like a Chinese finger trap, where the harder you try to get out, the firmer it locks you in. You need to relax to get out. Yeah, Onfwin's just that without the relaxation part. You just can't leave. And that gives you basically an endless will of desire. And considering we still don't know how aging exactly works in this new Camelot, like, can you die? I mean, presumably you can age. The older that ages. But, like, I'm not sure why Arthur would allow death in this server, because that's just less people to wish for. And what happened to the Eternal Kingdom, Buckaroo? Why can people die? But that's the thing. I don't get that. I really don't get that. I get it. Maybe something could slip under the rug. But you think if Arthur is, for example, just using this as an analogy, the Discord mod, why would he allow anyone to get banned from the server when the server relies on people being in it at all times? I don't know. And like, it's clear that Arthur doesn't necessarily, well, maybe clear is the wrong way to put it. It's hard to argue Arthur has any real dominion over the souls, especially with the recent Jade conundrum, or the Jade incident, if we will. It goes to show that Arthur can't really just reach into either A, the capital of the dead, or B, purgatory, and yank out souls like I once thought he could. Like, back when I made that Jade video, I was fully expecting that man to be wholesale ripped from Arthur, or ripped from the capital of the dead, put in a body, and made to manipulate his friends. But no, he was just an illusion. And so far, everyone's been just an illusion. And in fact, one of the key traits of Camelot is the fact that it's all illusion. Like, anybody you manifest is just an illusion. They cannot age, they cannot, nothing. So, like, I don't know. Like, it just feels, a little bit strange that Arthur would even allow people to perish in a world where immortality and eternity is offered. Especially when it's not even like it's offered and it's needed, right? There's a difference between something just being offered. Like, I can offer you $1 million, but in this case for Arthur, if he doesn't offer you the $1 million and you don't take it, the $1 million doesn't exist. It's not like it goes back into his bank account. Camelot will disappear. So that's why the whole death thing is kind of, death and aging as two things in Camelot world is kind of funky. I don't know. Once again, I'm assuming Arthur probably doesn't have full control over it. Maybe Chaos hasn't given him full mod property. Like, I have no idea. But with it being the case, we see that Percy's blown away. Fwah! And we see that Donnie's like, look, as Anne goes, ghost! And we see Edlin realize, oh, no wonder he wandered right through my master's tornado. Which once again shows that maybe Gareth is like below Hauser level. And unless he got a massive boost up beefcake amp over the 2-year time skip, last we checked in on Hauser and his strength level, that boy was Matrona level. Like, not even 10k. And trust me, I'm a guy who doesn't necessarily like power levels, but like, that's what NAKABA said in the Q&A. Hauser is still 4. So like, that's real bad for Gareth scaling. And then considering he doesn't necessarily get to do much against this very casual Percy, as we'll see, it's not going too good for Broski. However, we do get to see that it isn't just a ghost that's randomly here on its own volition. It's not like Gareth is being haunted. Actually, it goes something like, and Gareth's magic skill, conjuration, that summons and controls his ghostly brother. Now, Gareth is on the move. So yeah, Gareth himself has the control over his brother. Now, the control part is interesting, considering what we'll see later on, because he does not despawn once Gareth is mentally incapacitated, presumably, or even spiritually incapacitated, as we'll see. But I think it may legit just be the summon thing. I don't think he may actually control Gareth. If he does, that's like really good subconscious or active conscious control. Like, very impressive. I think Gareth is mostly autonomous. But we see Gareth lunges in, and like I mentioned, well, at least for Gareth, Percy does little more than reinforce a tiny area around his hand. Where at least with Gareth, he was like, whoa, he pulled out the full blade. And of course, obviously, scaling on blade size is basically non-existent. But still, I think that does mean to some degree that Gareth is the infinitely more important threat to Percy than Gareth, but unfortunately, Percy is still finding that Gareth is actually genuinely a little bit swole, as he thinks, oh wow, fast and strong. Gareth's going at it for real now. And we see Gareth is going absolutely crazy, swinging and slicing and slicing and swinging and swinging and slicing. And we see that Gareth unleashes a storm of strikes. And Gareth grunts a little bit as he drops his tragic backstory and says, well, you people were living it up in the outside world without a care. We lived in a hopeless life in this hopeless place. He died protecting me. And even after death, he's still trying to guard me. And for his sake, I'm going to live and get out of this cauldron. Once again, bring speculation to the idea of, hey, does he actually control Gareth? I don't think so. I think Gareth is genuinely here on his own free will. I don't think, like, he probably could hard hijack control Gareth, but I think Gareth is more effective if he fights on his own, which we'll see soon enough, or if not, right here on the same page. But also at the same time, same points as before. Why? I get making Enfoy negative enough that people would want to leave it so they get trapped in an endless loop of desire is the best course of action. It's a smart way to run the play, right? Like, if we're thinking, it's a real smart way to run the play. But making it so that people can actually die in there? Like ultimately, it's Alfred Hitchcock all over again, right? You can either just spontaneously detonate La Bomba that's underneath the table without ever telling the audience, and then we're in the same amount of shock that the characters are while the characters are still alive for that 0.2 seconds as La Bomba's going off. Or you could have La Bomba underneath the table, show the audience, and have a countdown on it, and let our characters be unaware. That's how, if I was running Camelot, specifically for the purpose of getting wishing energy, that's how I would run everything, but especially Onford. I'd be like, okay, we'll let them get real close. Real close. Like, they could nearly go. They can lose a limb, they can lose both limbs, they can lose their arms, their eyes, their legs, they can lose everything, but they cannot die. They cannot. Because I always want their wishing energy. I always want their desires to help fuel Camelot. And if anything, taking away a couple limbs will make them want more. Which is just going to fuel Onford more. Which is just going to fuel Camelot more. It's like, it's twisted, don't get me wrong. I think Arthur, you're running a pretty unoptimal ship here, Buckaroo. But with it being the case, we see that ultimately, and I'll admit, this is kind of funky looking. Like, you see them chatting, then something comes, I guess, nibbles on Gareth, and then you see Gareth's soul being like, what is happening? He's genuinely confused over his own body. But with it being the case, we see that while, oh no, here, let me finish this. No chance for Percival to stage a counter. Darius' blade is the real menace. And the moment Beltree pipes up the blade, Percy, in the middle of a conflict with Gareth, once again, I'll admit, showing a decent amount of relativity. So maybe I'm downplaying Gareth a little bit. Maybe I am. Gareth a little bit. Gareth gives Percy backshots. Horrific backshots. Spiritual backshots. Backshots so good that his soul ascends. Quite literally, as Percy gets stabbed in the back, and Belsweep says, its nature is not the same as mine, but his sword can also kill in an instant. So, this is also interesting. Once again, NAKABA very good at just sprinkling in little ideas that I overthink, because of course I do. What do you say, Beltree? Your sword can also kill in an instant. Not you. Now, of course, this could be me reading it hyper literally and being like, what do you mean your sword and not you? And Beltree could literally just mean, oh, I take my sword and I instantly kill. Just because I'm that powerful, I'm that strong, I can't confuse me, I'm built like that. But at least to me, if we're going to go with the similar logic of this blade, that we'll find out, it seems like it's Beltree's sword that has a special property, and not he himself. But who knows? Maybe it could be a combination, special property, and his own magic. Kind of like the sacred treasures and the sins. Of course, the sacred treasures are extremely powerful and potent, and in some cases do carry their sins, such as King with Chastieful. But you could have a Meliodas situation, where Lost Vein and cloning is really, really good, but at the same time, Meliodas has his own slew of amazing abilities. And if anything, considering Beltree is likely going to be one of our 4 major sub-antagonists underneath Arthur, yeah, I presume he's got more than just his sword. But still, it's interesting that his sword is a source of power at all. But with it being the case, we see Percy hits the... I'm dead. And it hits the ground. But, of course, we see Everyone's bamboozled to say, whoa, is he down? Just like with me. Huh? Hey, what are you doing, Percival? Get back up! You can't lose. You're gonna lose in the first round. This is so not good. Percival is down. And then we get some extra lore on the blade. Very specifically, once again, delivered by the twin, which I don't get. Like, this is just weird. I'll admit this is a little bit weird. You definitely could have just had Beltreep explain it. Then again, that also still be stitching. So I don't know. I get it. You got to give it to us somehow, because we may not see it ever again. As is said, the name of this sword is... Okay, no. I was about to hit the old wizard voice. Or the whole witch voice. But the name of this sword is soulfree. It chops the tail off the soul that clings to the physical body. So this is interesting. Well, actually, let me let Gareth finish, as he continues to stitch on himself. It resembles an umbilical cord, so I call it a tail. So yeah, just chalk it up to bad luck and give. It's also my beloved brother can make it out of here. Or can survive and make it out of here. So this is interesting. He does tell Percy to give, as if the soul is not lost or anything. Which does imply that he does have the capacity to return souls to bodies, which is also implied with Edlin. When he pierced Edlin's in the side, waved up at his soul, and was like, alright, deuce, and nearly left. So it's entirely possible that if Percy... But then again, the only thing I wonder is, how do they expect Percy to give? Maybe just give his life and would have not Beltreep. Capital need to do the countdown, maybe? But still, that is pretty darn crazy. Quite a useful ability. But you know what it reminds me of? Reminds me of them gosh darn diamonds. Y'all remember how they do this whole thing? Yeah, they tap or they chant. But I think ultimately it does have the same effect. I think what they do just loosens the soul tie to the body. Because if you remember, every single time we've seen someone lose their souls for the most part, it's been... At least in the Seven universe, they exhale their soul through their body. Which implies that the soul is somewhere in, like, the stomach. Or at least based on where Percy gets stabbed, like, the chest area or lower chest area. Or maybe even the heart. That's interesting, though. That there is a physical tie and that demons... and seemingly along with Gareth, have some ability to, or not even Gareth, with his sword, have the ability to just snap it. Just essentially rip the tie of the soul to the body. Very intriguing. Of course, we've seen demons have a much higher control over this. They can not only rip the soul from the body, but also gather above their palm and then... tasty. Like they can do that, but still, it is a very interesting idea. Unfortunately, this is all we're going to see of it, as Gareth and Gareth not only stitch on themselves, but also they just picked the wrong opponent. Because we see Gareth think to himself, once all my business is done, how about you and me leave here? Gareth thinking over Percy's words, his offer, and just getting ready to walk away. And they both turn to Beltreep, as Gareth declares, well, Rep, I'd say we won. And as Anne and Nosians, his people, let's call him that. We'll call him his people. We know Percy does more to them than people's. But Percy, wait! And we see that Camelot is looking, and he's like, I cannot make that call yet. And once again, Gareth looking ever serious, and Gareth is like, you did see I literally gave him back shots and removed his soul. But we see Percy's feet pop up. And he slaps off the ground, lands, and is like, Well, he doesn't do that. But we see that both are bamboozled just find him okay. And they even declare, huh? And we see that Percy says, well, I'm sure you I sure understand why you two want to win the Gladiator Festival. Once again, he does accept their desires, their hope, if you will. But he accepts their hopes and is like, what a shame, because I have hopes of my own, and unfortunately for you, I am hope. As we see that Gareth is actually more well, actually, I can't tell if it's a thing they're siblings, but I think this looks like Gareth, so I want to say this is Gareth. Detached souls can't just reattach themselves like that. What in the world are you? And we know, but they do not. As Percy says, hey, sorry, I get why you want to leave, But I'm not about to sit here and let myself be beaten either. Oh wait, no, this is Gareth. This is Gareth and this is Gareth. All right, I got that backwards. Because I thought this was Gareth and then that was Gareth. But my bad. But Percy raises a finger, his ring finger, which ironically enough is not on the ring finger, it's on his pointing finger. As he says, I'm not about to let myself sit here and be beaten either. Sorry about that. And he points, and suddenly the whole mood changes. Natula. Y'all remember this? Y'all remember this? Hey, where I heard something like this before? Where I seen something like this before? I think it was twice before. One, a long time past. In fact, it's been animated already, but I was back in season 1 of Four Knights. My brain! Worldane. Oh, right. The Chaos Knight. Who Percy was trying to... Well, Percy may have actually succeeded this time, as he hits the Nadula, points specifically at Gareth, and banishes them to the Shadow Realm with a... I wish I had a guitar. A boom! That's a slap. But he banishes them with a... And then Gareth finds himself suspended in a strange void. And we see that something's gone horribly wrong. Or horribly right. As we see, Anne is confused and Nossians recognizes this. He used that on Worldane in the Fairy King's forest. Remember what he was trying to do to Worldane. And remember that she only survived because of the chaos imbued within her. As was said, he did succeed in killing the human side of her. And we see that Gareth turns to Gareth and says, "Hey, Gareth, what did you do to my brother?" And Percy, darkened by the lust of ambition, consumed by the flames of desire, says, "I thought this would be a faster approach to defeating the both of you. If Gareth dies, then you will disappear too, released from his magic force." No, I don't want to die. I want to live. Gareth too. Percy catches a body. And you know the crazy thing? So many. Okay, so this image alone, you don't see them. It's in. I made the thumbnail already before I recorded. This is the thumbnail. On that other image. Not only is he still wearing the remnant of death that lingers from his corporeal form, but it's also the remnant of death born of the grandfather he lost, the humanity that raised him and imbued it inside of him, but also the fluffy hair, the wing-like hair, verdant green, symbolizing life, is mirrored so perfectly in this skeletal, beastly image of death as horrific, bony growths that come out of the skull, as a skeletal figure grips and tears Gareth's life force from the body. Every single life spirit drained out of him like a sponge. And you just hear Gareth screaming. I can't hit a full scream right now. But, yo. And you know what? Gareth is terrified. All the smugness, all the joy, all the guile is wiped away like that as he says, "Stop! Please don't kill my little brother. Gareth gives. He forfeits the match." And we see Camelot says, "My, quite a shocking conclusion." And we see Donnie, clearly not seeing the same things we are seeing, and the same thing that anyone is seeing, goes and says, "Woohoo! I don't know what happened, but he won. hopping back and forth as Nasians and Anne look on just a little bit confused as Anne asks, since Nasians revealed that Percy's done this before, what did Percival just do? Or was trying to do? And note, we do not see Percy's face for the rest of the chapter, though there is admittedly very little chapter left. As Gareth looks upon Gareth. I'm sorry, Gareth. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And Gareth falls. The first round winner in the A block is Percival. What an oddly fascinating man, capable of rejecting death out of hand. Or is he himself death? Yo, I think he murdered Gareth. Like I was sugarcoating. Gareth, I think he's dead. The only reason I don't think so is because Gareth is still here. And from Percy's own statement, Gareth should have faded with his magical force fading. But then again, no, typically once a being dies, their magical force that's the whole point. Somehow Elaine was still alive. It's because Molaska was somehow still alive, and she was even still alive well after the end of the first series, which is why Elaine managed to survive so long before she got the immortality transfer. But yeah, Percival. Oh, he outright caught a body. Now, this is obviously huge for multiple reasons, but it does once again reinforce the idea that the Percy we knew in part 1 is possibly not dead, but gone. Or irrevocably changed. And this may not be the same Percy we knew. Either literally or metaphorically. Because if you'll remember, one of Percy's biggest things pre-time skip that I and many other characters in the universe, including Lance, gave him flack for, was the idea that he was a bit too soft. That he didn't want to take lives. You'll remember, especially you can even go back to the reviews of my reviews of the Dark Talisman arc. And be like, and you would hear me say, hey, Percy, you're a little bit too soft, you're a little bit too weak, boy. This is going to come back to haunt you. And it looks like Percy took my words, and everyone else who critiqued its words, and Lance's own words to heart, and has now been pretty consistently, out of the 2 major battles we saw him against people who are not on his side, he's resorted to murder. Like, quickly. Remember, Worldane would have died if it was not for the fact that she had already gotten the Chaos Infusion. Percy, for one reason or another, cannot kill Chaos beings. That's just seemingly the rule. Presumably because they are in a state flux between life and death, in a similar vein to Cath, and presumably Chaos itself, and maybe Arthur. Though once again, Arthur, considering the whole weird, Chaos only comes out when it's vessel about to die, that's still so weird, I don't get that, but that's the case. Only Chaos beings are immune, but if you remember, he instantly tried to murder Worldane. And then we went a pretty decent stretch with Percy, just not fighting anybody. He's not fighting anybody that he would actually need to do something like this against. Your mom just suddenly started murdering in the first round of the tournament where he knew he and all his friends would be fine. But the moment he had the opportunity to do any other thing, as you can tell, like I kept mentioning earlier on the chapter, he did not need to do this. He got his soul cut. That's fine. We see he's capable of interacting with Gareth by using his blade. Or at least the life spirits. He could have beaten Gareth traditionally, or even easier, just beat Gareth easily and then beat Gareth himself. He easily could have done it. But no. The first thing he resorts to is murder. So Percy's changed. Changed a lot. Now, once again, this becomes a question of, is this really Percy? Is this Percy but changed? What happened over those 2 years, Percival, grandson of Varghese, if you are even Percival? I don't know, but I'll admit my toes are quite curled and to find out. And naturally, I do want to know if Gareth actually died from this. Because notably, unlike with Worldane, his body only decayed in this strange astral plane. The physical body of Gareth appears to be pretty much fine. Actually, no. It's hard to tell. Did he burn in the real world too? Why is Donnie so happy then? The only reason I say that is because it looked like he was still alive. But then again, just as we don't see Percy's face after this, I don't think we see Gareth's face. Oh, yeah, he does look sullen. We do not see his face. And maybe his hair does not decay. And that may have just been a full real. So never mind. He may have just literally murdered him live in front of everybody. I'm liking it. you may be like, whoa, Pencil, what? Wait, what? I thought you were. Oh, I'm concerned. Absolutely. I am genuinely terrified of this thing, which may or may not still be Percy, but still, I like it. I'm interested. I now want to learn more, and I want to see how he deals with everybody else. Because remember, almost every other person in this tournament is an ally, or someone he felt reluctant to kill, such as Diodora. But his path, it could be a bloody one. But overall, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave death comes. That sounds wrong. Let's say death comes for us all. Not the death comes for us all, because it just death comes sounds a little bit rough. But with that being the case, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. You things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You will now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the 20-minute live reaction to this very chapter, ad-free variations of all my videos, and becoming $25 Patreon or a $25 member. You can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 beans for a short video, 20 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dagger the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: Zara, Greyhound, Eternal Flame, NMA, Real Rare, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Brandon Payne, G Prosper, and Glacier XZ. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Sean, Igneel Lind, and A+A. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 members: Fine and Austin Wimberly, A Uchiha, along with Yuki Ally. And I'd like to give a big ol' thank you to our $10 members: Robbie Uchiha, Jay Warrior, and AZ Void. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 patrons: Overlord Zero, Joaquin Munoz, and Idemo Kami. And I'd like to give a final, giga, legendary, superhuman, beyond the bounds of reality thank you to our That Guy with a Pencil tier patron, Calvin Elder.